Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel in the very end of handbag week. If you've missed the other two videos that I put up on Monday and last Friday, then make sure you check them out. But today is the culmination of all of my handbag dreams. I'm going to show you my entire handbag collection, and as you can see, it's quite the family. Like the thumbnail for this video could be used as a meme for everything that's wrong in society, or it can just be taken as just me sharing one of my passions with you. And I do love handbags and my handbag collection. My extended handbag family has been quite a few years in the making by now, but I'm really proud of it and really excited to share it with you today, and I hope that you all enjoy it. So, without further ado, let's get started with the beautiful little collège handbag on my lap. I have actually put my Fendi bag strap on this bag so that you can see what it looks like on a bag other than my Celine Nano. And I thought it would be fun for you to see everything together behind me while we discuss. That way you can see how one bag compares with another, for example. So this is a YSL collège. It is my only YSL handbag, and I would definitely get another after seeing how much use I've had out of it. There is a specific order to how I'm going to talk about everything, and what it's going to be is it's going to be grouped by designer, but within those groups and how those groups are ordered is a reflection of how much I have used those bags and how much I love them. We are going to start in order of most loved and used to least in terms of designers. So first one is the YSL Collège paired with the new bag strap from Fendi, and I have to say this is probably one of my two most used handbags ever, and it does not show the wear at all. I get so many questions for an update on wear and tear, and my update is that it will soften around the corners. Yes, the front, if you overstuff it, will get a little bit round looking, but overall, the quality of the leather on this bag is unparalleled. It does not have a scratch on it. It is so soft and buttery, and I feel like it is one of those rare handbags that just gets better with age, and I never seem to grow tired of it. It's beautiful and sunny outside, and yet I still find myself reaching for it, even though I would, you know, sort of describe it as a little bit more of an edgy, slightly more like fall winter bag. I miss it when I don't use it, and it fits a ton. Even though it does have a middle compartment, you can fit so much in this bag. It is a true medium-sized handbag and really, really wonderful. In terms of like dollar for dollar wear, this is definitely in like my top 2 to 3 bags, and one of my favorite handbags that I've ever owned. So that's my YSL Collège. Next up is my Louis Vuitton family, and this is no surprise. I feel like they are love-hate, but if you are on the team of loving that classic monogram or the damier, whichever way your taste runs, then you'll know that these are indestructible bags. So in that top 3 of like dollar for dollar, like most bang for buck, I have to put my Galliera handbag. This was my very first designer handbag that I purchased with money from an internship, and it felt absolutely insane at the time, but this has been one of my best purchases ever, and I still love this handbag. I do not feel like the monogram has gotten old for me. The monogram parts of the bag still look perfect, but of course the vachetta has definitely, you know, gotten that patina with age, and all of the darker trim along the handle is gone, and there's a little tiny bit of just wear, a little bit of roughness to the leather here, but I still love it. It's just such a wonderful bag. I'm really sad that they discontinued this bag. If you are considering just getting like something that's not a Neverfull but kind of comparable on the pre-loved market, I definitely recommend the Galliera. At some point in my life, I definitely feel like I'm going to get the Azur Galliera or some other Azur handbag, because I feel like the customer service at Louis Vuitton and YSL is excellent, top-notch experience, and that is why those are the brands that I'm mentioning first. So I'm very happy with this handbag. It is one of those that you can fit your entire life in, and it's a great work tote if you just want a bag that you will just be able to use forever. I think that these classic Louis Vuitton handbags just start to look better and better as they're well loved. I actually bizarrely don't really like the look of the really unused vachetta. I think it looks much better when it has some patina on it. On a higher price point from Louis Vuitton, there's the Montagne. I love this bag if you want a girl boss, like means business kind of bag from Louis Vuitton, and you don't mind a little bit of a logo on it, but you don't want it to be as visible as the classic monogram. I think these Empreinte handbags are a really good option. They are really pricey, I feel like, but the quality of them is absolutely exceptional. I've used my Montagne a ton. You cannot fit as much as you would think in this handbag though, as compared to some of the more tote styles, because it does have a divider in the middle and each of the sections is fairly narrow, but you can still fit all of your work essentials, everything that you need in a day. This was the limited edition Iris color. It's beautiful in the black. I feel like a number of my subscribers have that bag or like this bag, and it has everything that you would want in terms of features, I think, for a good everyday work bag, in that the handles actually fold in and then there's a long strap that you can wear over your shoulder so you don't get poked by the handles sticking out, and I think that's a really neat, very thoughtful feature of the bag. It also has a zip so you can close it around the middle, put important documents there and keep them safe. So it's a really smartly designed handbag. Next up, in terms of most used handbags, we're actually going to go to Gucci. So I'm going to put down my two Gucci handbags here, and there's going to be a big disparity between them because my Gucci Soho tote, which unfortunately is not available from Gucci stores anymore, this is now discontinued, one of my favorite handbags ever. I absolutely love the rose beige color. It's gorgeous. It goes with everything. It's a little bit 70s. I love the tassel. I love how light it is. The quality of the bag, absolutely exceptional. I've used this a ton. I would say it's probably third or fourth in terms of most used. I do tend to reach for it a little bit more in the spring and summer though, for sure. So I absolutely love this handbag, would highly, highly recommend it as just like a smart investment piece if you can find it on the pre-loved market. Now I know the little Soho Disco is very, very popular, and it's for a good reason because you can fit quite a lot in here. The only thing is, for me, the crossbody strap isn't quite as practical as I would like, and that's how I think that it looks best, is as a crossbody bag. So I maybe haven't used this one as much as I would have hoped I would, and the red has definitely contributed to that. I do love red, but I find that a red handbag I just don't wear as much as, let's say, like a blue. It just doesn't pair with as much of my wardrobe. So I do love having this bag, and this is still available as well. It's part of the Soho line that they have kept. It's a great little bag. It's very popular, and I don't disagree with that necessarily. Just somehow the combination of the crossbody strap plus the bright red, for me, has resulted in me using it maybe more for evenings and special occasions, or like trips as well, than just like everyday life. Next most used, you can probably see this beautiful 24 karat gold gilded hardware sort of shimmering in the sun at you. This is my vintage Chanel vertical flap. This was one of my best purchases ever. I purchased it from Mel Soldera, and it had already been pretty well loved at that point. I wore it for several years and really took it to shabby territory where the corners were completely worn away. And so if you haven't seen my recent review on leather surgeons, I will link it down below. I will try not to wax lyrical too much about this handbag, but it's absolutely one of my favorite possessions. I think it's so glam. I love the vertical flap, the caviar hardware. I love that everything is oversized and really heavy hardware on this bag, along with the big flap at the back for my phone. It's a single flap, so it's got a ton of room inside, no real dividers like there are in a modern double flap. And nonetheless, I thought that this would be a starter piece for me, and then I would feel this unquenchable thirst for a modern double flap. I still think at some point in my life I will go there, but I love this bag in its reconditioned form so much that it really has quenched that thirst, and I just absolutely love wearing it. So that is my most worn Chanel handbag. After that, my most worn is probably this one. This was a Laurent Conrad, the Hills bag, if you kind of can remember back that far. It's a medallion tote. It's just one big tote, very easy to reach into. I find I just gravitate towards this bag for its ease of use and lightness. Even though it's caviar leather, because it's got hardly any hardware as compared to the other bags, it's very, very easy to carry around and wear. Next up, in terms of most worn after that, is a newer bag. So I haven't worn this for as long. I have to say, whenever I feel like I need to really be on and feel my most fabulous, I reach for my Chevron bag. So either my jumbo black lambskin Chanel, or my medium Chevron silver hardware in the green. Like, it's like a teal green, really gorgeous. I've had this one for about 4 years now, something like that, and it's still absolutely perfect, maybe very slightly faded, but the lambskin is still an absolute perfection. And I want to specifically mention that because I know lambskin gets such a bad rap, but I have to say I haven't noticed much of a difference in terms of how worn caviar gets versus lambskin. I think they're pretty much on par. If you take good care of your bags, then they will take good care of you. So this one is definitely newer. I've had it for less than a year, but I've worn it a ton for how long I have had it. I do wish it had a back pocket, but it was a limited edition, so it's also a single flap that doesn't have necessarily a lot of structure to it. It's a little bit of a softer one from Chanel, so it's a little bit more squishy, but I absolutely love that about it. I do really love the silver hardware. I am kind of undecided in terms of which hardware I prefer. Maybe a slight incline towards gold hardware. My Chanel wallet on chain was an excellent purchase for me. I don't use it every day that much, but having this bag along with my Stella McCartney little clutch means that I feel like I never have to purchase evening clutches again, because what outfit will this not look good with? And it means I can have all my cards with me. It actually fits a surprising amount, and there are a lot of different ways that you can wear the chain, so it's really a versatile bag. It's gotten very pricey, but I still think it's a great investment piece. In terms of less worn Chanel handbags, I have to pull out my boy, and this is very shameful based on the price point. I really only pull out this bag for special occasions, which makes me sad. I do love it. I love the navy. I love having a navy bag, and for that reason I'm not sure I will ever sell it, but it fits so little compared to even a medium flap. You can see that the size actually seems bigger, but this bag fits more than this one. So I love having a boy. Being able to feel like I have a boy in my family, I think, rounds it out nicely. I do love it. It's not that I don't have an attachment to it, but I just don't reach for it as much as a classic flap, and that might be a reflection of my style as well, which is pretty classic. Because it's now discontinued and the prices for it are still very high on resale, this wasn't a bad investment. I could definitely recoup most of my money because it's in almost perfect condition, just slightly flattened and needs to be better stuffed. This is my Chanel GST. This bag was really, really popular at the time I bought it in 2013 or 2014, and I have not gotten a ton of wear out of this. I would warn against buying this handbag unless you don't mind having handles slip off your shoulders. You have to be okay with kind of carrying it in the crook of your arm, or kind of double holding the straps so that they don't slip off and separate on your shoulder. It's maybe not the most practical that way, and it is also very heavy for how much it fits. I think that's probably why I don't reach for it quite that much, but it is a beautiful bag and I love having it in my collection. It's sad that Chanel has discontinued the GST, but I have to say, in terms of the practicality of it, I'm not that surprised. So that is it for my Chanel collection. I really prize my Chanel handbag family because I feel like it's not something that I would add to lightly. It would be for a very special occasion that I would add another Chanel to my collection at this point. They're very, very expensive for what they are, and I think you have to make sure that you individually will feel a greater level of happiness carrying a Chanel than any other bag. And I felt like that for a long time, and I still love my Chanel handbags, but I think my mindset is a little bit wider about what's available on the market and the quality that you get and how wonderful other bags can be now than it used to be. Which brings me to Celine. So my Celine handbags, I don't have a ton. I actually sold my Celine Phantom. That bag I would not recommend. I think it is way too big for a handbag because the base of it is so enormous. I think the Selene Luggage, which is such a classic that I know for some may be a little bit passe, but for me, I just think it's a wonderful classic. This is my Celine Luggage in the Souris color, which is the perfect kind of grayish putty color. If you were into these nail polish colors in like the 2000s, then I think this handbag is really wonderful. It goes with everything, fits everything. It's a little bit heavy for how little hardware it has because the leather is very substantial, very thick. Even the handles themselves are so thick and stiff, but I love that about it. That said, it will scratch up a little bit more easily than, let's say, like your Chanel caviar leather. So you have to be a little bit more careful with it. This bag I bought pre-loved, and it was already very pre-loved at that stage. I didn't want to spend too much money on it. So it's probably one of my most worn looking bags, and I don't mind that about it. Something that makes me comfortable about spending money on designer handbags is that I know I will keep wearing them even once they have a few scuffs. That's not a big deal to me. I think well-loved things are beautiful things, and so for that reason I didn't mind buying a handbag with some white on it, and also that had the smooth leather instead of the drummed leather, which is a little bit more prone to scratches. Apparently, I haven't had this handbag long enough to comment on it, but I did a what's in my bag on my Celine little nano, and I have to say this bag is bringing me a lot of joy right now. I've really enjoyed wearing it. If you're looking for a small handbag that fits a lot, I highly recommend it. I don't think that it's overhyped. It's popular for a reason because it's really something special. So one thing I would say is the crossbody strap is a little bit long on my 5'4" frame, but you can make that work. We have 3 handbags left to go, and I don't want you to think that this is one that I don't love. I think just because of the electric blue color, I have not worn this Lancaster bag as much as some of my others, but I did want to include it in this collection because I really love this handbag. I think it's a great alternative to a Monsieur Gabriel because it's a much lower price point. They retail around $300. I think it's wonderful because it's unexpected, quite European. The leather is excellent, very thick stuff. It's very stiff. And it's held up to the point where it looks absolutely brand new. It's available from Farfetch and Forestieri and a few other online retailers. I'll link it down below. It comes in some gorgeous colors that I probably would have worn a little bit more than this electric blue, but I still love having a bucket bag in my collection. This shape, I really like the Louis Vuitton Noe. I think it's such a nice shape to have in your handbag family. So this is the one that I have, and it's not as worn as some of my other handbags, but I absolutely love it, and wanted to speak highly of the quality. If you're looking for a slightly more affordable option, I would say either look for something that's pre-loved from like Louis Vuitton or Gucci. Those bags are really hard wearing, so even if it's pre-loved, you're still going to get so much wear out of it. Or look for something, you know, that's European, that's a little bit more understated, I think, with a really classic shape like a bucket. I think will really do you well. So I'll include some options for that down below. That's a bag that I would say I feel as luxurious wearing as I do any of my other handbags. Same thing with Mulberry. I think it's old school British luxury. They make beautiful handbags. That said, they are in last place for a reason, and that is because a lot of their leather can scuff really easily, and I just feel like that shouldn't happen. So this bag is the classic lily. It's a medium lily, and there's a lot of scuffing on the hardware and on the leather, which is a bit disappointing given that I haven't used it excessively. I've loved this bag. I really love how it looks. I think it's a nice twist on a classic flap. It's a bit of a different look that's not a knockoff of Chanel. I think they've done their own version well. It's different enough. But the quality is definitely not comparable because it does scuff easily. It's very soft leather, so you have to baby your Mulberries a little bit more. This one is not as bad because it's actually got a kind of metallic finish. So this is the Bayswater, but it's a limited edition graphite color. But still, again, there's some scuffing on the hardware because they make it so shiny and smooth that I feel like it's very prone to that. So I think that's something to save for more of like an aged hardware like the YSL. You know, it's never going to show scuffs too much, whereas something that's very shiny like this, you'll see scuffs a little bit more. It's definitely softened over time a lot as well, but what I like about the Bayswater is that you know, unlike a lot of my other handbags, it's not very branded. So if I'm going into a meeting or going to a conference and I just don't want people to look at my handbag, I think something like the Bayswater or the Lancaster, maybe if it was a bit more of a subdued color especially, those are really good choices because they just will allow your handbag to fade into the background, which is not necessarily like what I strive for. I'm a handbag person, so I love having my handbag be kind of front of stage. So that is it for my handbag collection. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really enjoyed our handbag hangout, and all of Handbag Week was a lot of fun for me, so thank you so much for being a part of it. If you'd like to see my next installment on style, then make sure you give this video a like and subscribe, and maybe turn on your alerts so you get notified. And I will see you in my next installment on style. Bye!